my dear art nerds over on my Patreon if they would be interested in seeing a comparison between St. Petersburg White Nights and Yarka St. Petersburg paints, and they said yes. And I thought it would be really fun to do a three-way comparison, sort of the way I did a three-way comparison with Winsor & Newton, Cotman, and Reeves. Now, I should caveat that St. Petersburg White Nights is made by a completely different company from Yarka. So we have two products by one company and then another product by a third. Now, they are all Russian watercolors, and to my knowledge, they're the only Russian watercolors available in the US, at least commonly available. And all three were purchased off of Amazon, but I believe, nope, this was actually purchased from a Utrecht years ago, but they are available on Amazon. I will have links in the description below for all of you who are curious. Now, this is an older set. It was one of the sets I originally started with, and it's one of the sets I used to use for 7-inch Cara, so it's definitely seen some use and some wear and tear. And you can check out reviews for these two here on this channel as well. So what I want to do today is I'm going to do an optical comparison where we verbally discuss the differences between the three paint sets. And then we're also going to do a swatch comparison. We're going to go ahead and begin with St. Petersburg White Nights and Yarka St. Petersburg. Unfortunately, I no longer have the original packaging for this, but I'm going to insert a picture of the current packaging so you guys can kind of compare the two. And we're also going to discuss prices at the end. So you can get both sets on Amazon. Both come in fairly sturdy white plastic packaging. The St. Petersburg White Nights is a little bit more compact. There's only 12 in here, whereas there's 24 in here. And neither of these are really half pan sets. They're more full pan sets by like Western or US standards. The pans in the St. Petersburg set are interesting in that they slide out. So it's actually kind of hard to get them in and out without losing a bunch of pans. So I've got Carmine here, and I'll just pull one of the same reds from this set, the Yarka set. So the pans are about the same size. The Yarka set uses clear or translucent pans, whereas the St. Petersburg White Night set uses opaque pans. Now, the way these slide in isn't really convenient. They travel okay, they don't slide out and travel, whereas with these, they are very prone to just kind of popping out of their slots. There's not really anything holding them in. This can be convenient if you want to just select a few colors for travel, or if you want to replace some pans, and I think both of them do sell replacement pans through their websites. I will double check that and get back to you when we're talking prices. Now, these came wrapped in paper and then in foil, and I had just about an impossible time getting the foil off of this one here. Both contain a space for, say, a brush or a travel brush, and both have the packaging for both kind of functions along a similar way, where you have mixing surfaces on the inside of the lids, and this whole tray can be removed if necessary for cleaning, or so that you can use that as a large mixing surface. I believe this Yarka set did not come with a swatch sheet or a map, so I'm going to have to make one before I get much further. Now, the Yarka, as compared to the Yarka Student set, this is the 12 color set, nope, 10 color set, I believe. This was recommended to me by my friend Kabocha, who'd used this as one of their first watercolor sets and really liked it. These are student grade or children's grade, really, watercolors, but they do contain pigments and they do produce pretty decent results. And I can link a piece right here. I can include a piece right here made with this set so you guys can judge that. These are not refillable. They don't come out. Some of the student sets do have, like, you can pop them out and reorder them. They are as they are. They seem to contain a lot of glycerin, given that they are, you know, student grade watercolors, but they aren't bad. And they did come with a brush, which I discarded. And this space isn't quite large enough to contain a full-size brush, but you could put a travel brush in there. And there's also ample mixing space on the lid right here. Now, these are distributed in the US by Jack Richardson. And there's another set of watercolors that are completely branded under his name that I've also reviewed here on this channel. I'm not sure if they are the same watercolors or if there are some differences. They look the same, but I don't want to just assume since it is branded under his name. So that is the basic gist for these 3 watercolor sets. Let's go ahead and get swatching. We are swatching today on Blick Premier watercolor paper. This is a cotton rag watercolor paper that is block bound, and I find that it performs quite well, and I really enjoy using my nicer watercolors on this paper because it really allows them to shine. So this is a really fun paper for 3-way comparisons. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do a mass tone swatch and then a gradiated swatch, and then we're going to discuss each set. So I'm going to do it one set at a time and share my thoughts with you guys after I finish swatching everything. So while these St. Petersburg White Night watercolors dry, I'd like to talk to them just a little bit. I don't really have a lot of thoughts that I didn't cover in my full review, so I do recommend you guys check that out. But they are nice, bright, saturated colors. They include a Payne's gray rather than a black, and for the most part, this is a good mixing set. So we're gonna put these aside and we're gonna move over to the St. Petersburg, or rather the Yarka St. Petersburg watercolors. And I'm going to go ahead and swatch those for you guys. Okay, so considering this is a 24 color palette, gotta be honest, I definitely ran out of room. So this is what I'm gonna do. I love these colors. I'm going to do a follow-up video where I just unbox and swatch the Yarka St. Petersburg palette for those of you who think this looks interesting and you wanna know more about it, and I'll talk to you guys about it in depth in its own video. However, already just from this little bit of swatching, the palette itself takes up a lot of space. I wish companies would make lids that had the option to flip all the way back and then tuck into, I know that's probably not feasible, but this just takes up a lot of space. There's a lot of beautiful, brilliant colors, especially in the purples and in the blue greens. And it reminds me a lot of a Japanese palette, like a Gensei style watercolor, both in terms of how the paints handle and in terms of the color selection. And I felt very similarly regarding the St. Petersburg White Nights. They activate very quickly. You honestly don't even really need to pre-activate these. And later on in the video, I'm going to dig into trying to find out why that is. So I'm going to let these finish drying, and then we're going to move on to the Yarka Student. So it is time to begin swatching the final component of our swatch off, the Yarka Student colors. And these are distributed in the US by Jack Richardson. You can find them on Amazon, but you can also find them in many brick and mortar art supply stores. And I am not going to pre-activate these because I remember these being really soupy and glycerin-y when you pre-activate them. I will say these are currently my top pick for children/student grade watercolors. I would even recommend them to adult artists who maybe have lighter styles or do brush lettering. or just anything that doesn't necessarily require a lot of layering going on. They're very affordable watercolors, so I highly recommend you guys check out my unbox and swatch and my other field tests for more information about these beautiful watercolors. So the Yarka Student watercolors are very quick to activate. They have very ample, we're going to call them pans. They're somewhere in between cakes and pans. Feature bright colors. There's a decent mixing selection of colors, and they're very inexpensive and compact. All right, my arty friends, it is time to wrap this three-way comparison up. I've already done my lift testing, and I've already scoured the internet for my pigment information. So let's go ahead and take a deeper dive. So we're going to start with the St. Petersburg White Nights. You can get these on Amazon for $28.76 for the 12 color set. The colors in this set include Cadmium Yellow Medium, Golden, Cadmium Red Light, Carmine, Ceruleun Blue, Ultramarine, Emerald Green, Green, Raw Sienna, Burnt Sienna, Sepia, and Payne's Gray. And this is also available Openstock. The pigments used are Cadmium Yellow Medium, PY35, Golden, PY3, PO13, Cadmium Red Light, PR108, Carmine, PR 170, 1%, or ratio of 1. Ceruleun Blue, PB35, Ultramarine, PB35, Emerald Green, PG7, Green, PG8, Raw Sienna, PBR7, Burnt Sienna, PBR7, Sepia, PBK7, PR102, PR189, and then Payne's Gray, PBK7, PB15, PV3. Now, there is some sedimentation with these paints. You do get some variation in color and sedimentation on a fairly toothy watercolor paper. And while they do lift somewhat, they do not lift completely. Moving on to the Yarka St. Petersburg, and you guys can check out the unbox and swatch review for that. They are $44 for the 24 color set on Amazon, or $78.09 for the 24 color set on Amazon. And they've actually redone this palette completely. So not only is the structure different, but the colors inside are different. So I do apologize for that. The colors in the newer set, according to DickBlick, sources do vary on what is included. And this is actually not even the full swatch range. Let me grab the full swatch range for you guys. Blue, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, Cadmium Lemon, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Cadmium Orange, Carmine Hue, Cobalt Blue, Emerald Green, English Red, Golden Ochre, Green, Madder Lake Red Light, Mars Brown, Neutral Tint, Black, Raw Sienna, Red Ochre, Scarlet Sepia, Ultramarine, Raw Umber, Violet, Yellow Green, and Yellow Ochre. Now, the best I could guess as to what is in the palette that I have, because that information is not easy to come by: Zinc White, Cadmium Lemon, Cadmium Yellow, Yellow Ochre, Golden, Cadmium Orange, Scarlet Vermilion Hue, Madder Lake Red Light, Rose Claret, Quinacridone Lilac, Ultramarine, Cobalt Blue, Prussian Blue, Turquoise Blue, Emerald Green, Cerulean Blue, Green Light, Chromium Oxide, Olive Green, Payne's Gray, Indigo, and Voronezhskaya Black. So I found that information by combining swatches from Wet Canvas with the Nevskaya Palitra site. These are liquid poured watercolors, and this results in a semi-moist pan that reactivates quickly. So originally, I know I said that the Yarka brands actually differ from the St. Petersburg. That's actually not true. Yarka is not the manufacturer name. It's just the trade name. It really translates to bright. Yarka shares the same manufacturer as White Nights, Nevskaya Palitra. According to the linked source, and that will be linked in the description below, Yarka is the same as St. Petersburg White Nights, which kind of came as a surprise to me, as there's been a real push online to differentiate the two. St. Petersburg is the name of the manufacturer that the manufacturer is currently promoting. So this three-way comparison was actually more apt than we initially thought. Then finally, we're taking a look at the Yarka Student. And because these are student grade watercolors, pigment information is sometimes a little challenging to find. So these may actually be the TwizTech honey-based watercolors, which are aimed at children and students. And I have a link in the description to compare the two, but they pretty much look like these, just rebranded. And I have some other links with more information, including the Nevskaya Palitra site. And then color and pigment information are not available on the Nevskaya Palitra site, which would be the official source, or as close to the official source as I could get. However, I did dig up the MSDS on DickBlick. And like I said, I paid $6.18 for this set. So of course it is the cheapest of the ones we're looking at today. So some of the pigments included in this set, but maybe not color specific, are bronze pigment, copper phthalocyanine, ferric oxide, mica, pigment red 53 to a ratio of 1, barium salts, purple lacquer, solvent violet 3, zinc oxide, and pigment white. And these are also liquid poured watercolors. So I think all of the watercolors we looked at today are liquid poured watercolors. This results in a semi-moist watercolor that reactivates very quickly and can have a tendency to get soupy or gummy if you use too much water. So you do want to kind of control your water and don't necessarily pre-activate these. They deliver, all three variations deliver a real punch of color. I have not yet had the pleasure of doing a field test for the St. Petersburg or for the Yarka St. Petersburg. So you're just gonna have to keep an eye on this channel for those if you're interested in seeing how they handle in depth. But I do have a field test for the student grade watercolor. So please do make sure you check that out. It seems that as we progress down the line, and honestly, I'm not so sure that the Yarka St. Petersburg are lower than the St. Petersburg White Nights, but these are kind of touted as the highest grade, so that's why I kind of lined them up the way they were lined up. But you get less sedimentation, less granulation as you go down the line, and the colors are more prone to lifting as we go down the line. So the White Nights have some color granulation, they have some variety in color, there's some liveliness to it, because I've kind of noticed that the more finely milled our colors, the more sort of even the colors go down, the less granulation, kind of the more boring our colors get, the less lively and vibrant. So I would say these, the St. Petersburg White Nights, have the most life and vivacity to them. Then the Yarka St. Petersburg colors, which have some beautiful colors in the color range. And I think these would just be ideal for brush letterers. I mean, some really beautiful colors. And also these would be really great for, say, a floral calligrapher, someone who's looking for their colors quickly and immediately, and they don't want to have to mix, and they don't want to pay an arm and a leg. This could be a really good set for you. Now, again, they have changed the colors in this set since I purchased this set, so your mileage may vary, unfortunately. And then finally, with our finest milled and honey-based, our Yarka Student. But really, all three are excellent options. They're very affordable considering the quality, and I would recommend any of these three for your needs. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you keep an eye out for the field test for these two, and I hope to see you guys again really soon. If you're looking for more information about watercolor, make sure you hit subscribe, maybe even click that little bell for notifications. I do loads of watercolor tips, tricks, reviews, and tutorials here on this channel every week. If you're looking for even more, you want to do a deeper dive, head on over to natosoup.blogspot.com and check out my watercolor basics series. And if you enjoy watercolor art, I highly recommend you check out my watercolor comic, 7-Inch Kara, at 7inchkara.com or 7inchkara.tumblr.com. All of these reviews and unboxes and swatches and field tests require a huge amount of resources, time, effort, energy, and knowledge. So if you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, please consider joining my art nerd community. You can head on over to patreon.com/natosoup for more information on how to become an art nerd. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you again really soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye.